Oral questions, questions orales. The honourable leader.
Mr. Speaker, Quebecers are fed up with liberal waste. This Liberal Prime Minister has made inflation increase and double the debt. And now we're seeing the waste, just like with ArriveCan and We Charity. We're seeing this waste with Curem. Under this Liberal government, 85,000 seniors are not getting their checks. And yet the Liberal governments are saying this is good news? Does the Prime Minister agree with his House Leader that wasting money and depriving seniors of their checks is a piece of good news? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would like to recognize that today is the 4th anniversary of the beginning of the unjustified and horrifying war that Russia launched against Ukraine. Canada stands with Ukraine. We are providing more humanitarian and military aid today. And regarding the Leader of the Opposition's question, to my knowledge, the Curem process started in 2017. The project, was broadened to other services like OAS.
The honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, this Liberal government wasted $5 billion in cost overruns. And today, when this Prime Minister is in power, 85,000 seniors are not getting their checks. They cannot put food on the table. The Prime Minister has doubled the deficit, saying he didn't have enough money, but apparently he had enough to waste $5 billion. What will the Prime Minister do to put an end to this Liberal scandal, protect taxpayers, and ensure that our seniors will get the money? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I just said, the former government began this project with OAS, and then we broadened its scope, and we added EI to it, as well as the GIS and other services. All of the sums have been budgeted for, and this project has already been reviewed by the Auditor General.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians deserve good quality health care. But after a decade of this Liberal government, 6 million Canadians do not have a family doctor. Part of the reason is that mass, out-of-control Liberal immigration has overwhelmed the system. And many of those resources are going to people who are here illegally and have been rejected. There has been a 1,000% increase in the cost of providing deluxe benefits to many people who are here illegally. Will the Prime Minister reverse this policy, support our motion, and put Canadians first for health care?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes, Canada is not America. Yes, Canada provides essential health care to everyone in this country. The increase in costs in this program referenced in the opposition motion is a result of the increase in applicants for that program. Now, what has this government done? This government has taken back control of immigration. This government has reduced the number of temporary workers in this country by 50%, the demanders of asylum seekers by 1/3, and we're modern.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The problem is that this government is not taking care of health care for the Canadian people. 6 million do not have a family doctor. 100,000 people died on waiting lists since the Liberals unleashed out-of-control immigration. There are currently literally thousands of people who are waiting for procedures as we speak. The Prime Minister claims he's getting it under control, but it's all an illusion. He's just another Liberal. There has been a 3,000% increase in refugee claims under his out-of-control system. Will he rein it in, support our motion, and put Canadians first? For
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm looking forward to coming up to my one-year anniversary as Prime Minister. During that time, new asylum claims have gone down by 1/3. During that time, temporary students have gone down by 60%. During that time, temporary workers have gone down by 50%. We have the immigration system under control, and we're supplying the health care Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Has the system under control? Obviously, he's just another Liberal. He thinks it's under control when the cost of deluxe supplementary benefits is up by 1,000%, and the number of refugee claims is up by 3,000%. Meanwhile, under his leadership, and after 11 years of Liberal government, we have 6 million Canadians who cannot find a family doctor. Will he take his head out of the stand, vote for our motion, and give Canadians back the health care they deserve?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, 11 years? I just got here. The member opposite has been here his whole...
I just want to remind. I just want to remind the member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman that there is only one person who should be standing at a time in this house. But anyway, the Right Honourable Prime Minister will need to start from the top.
Mr. Speaker, I just got here. The Leader of the Opposition has been here his entire career, with one exception. Now, during the time that Canada's new government has been here, we have reduced asylum seekers by 1/3. We have reduced temporary foreign workers by 50%. We have reduced new students by 60%. And we are putting in place, in front of this House, in C12 and C2, an ability to end the abuse of the asylum system. We look for their support.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister may pretend he just got here like he's a temporary foreign worker or something, but in reality, it's the same Liberal House Leader, the same Liberal Finance Minister, the same Liberal Justice Minister who was the Immigration Minister that broke the entire system that are running it into the ground today. And it's not just health care where there's two-tiered, Mr. Speaker. This Prime Minister keeps in place laws that allow foreign criminals who are visiting Canada to have less time in jail after they commit crimes. Will he get rid of the two-tiered system so that we can lock up serious criminals and then kick them out of our country when they're done their time?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would encourage, in the spirit of the member's opposite question, support for C2 and C12, which will help to address some of these issues. That's the first point. The second point, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, when someone commits a crime in this country, they should serve the time in this country.
Hear, hear.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the sponsorship scandal cost around $330 million. The Quebec Saclay scandal, $1.1 billion. The infamous Phoenix, which is still not over, $5.1 billion. And Curram has now gone from $1.6 billion to $6.6 billion. Is the Prime Minister proud of presiding over the worst financial scandal in the history of Canada? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the project started in 2017. At that time, I was the Governor of the Bank of England, number one. Number two,
Ouais, on y va. Il y a tous les montants a été
all of the money was budgeted for, including the $6 billion.
Le député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Oh, it's not my fault, Mr. Speaker. Well, in 2019, the Bloc Québécois asked for there be a purchasing power adjustment for retirees. And then after that, there was the pandemic and post-pandemic inflation, which made it even harder for retirees to make ends meet. Also discrimination between retirees over 75 and under. And now we have CURM, which is causing 85,000 retirees to have errors with their checks. Does this Prime Minister realize that his government has mistreated retirees? I'm sure there are retirees in Terrebonne who are wondering that. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have strengthened Quebec's healthcare system, number one. Number two, we have strengthened the dental care system in Quebec. We have strengthened pharmacare rather, in Quebec.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, because CURM is the biggest financial scandal in the history of Canada, because retirees' purchasing power has been going down since these Liberals, these or the others, they're all the same. Given that this is the case, will this Prime Minister, who says it's not his fault, will he at least cast light on the CURM scandal and call for an independent inquiry, just like all the others had their own scandals? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the CURM project has already been reviewed by the Public Accounts Committee and by the Auditor General. Both of them have reviewed the project. Everything has been budgeted for. Period.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
We need to restore order and fairness in Canada's immigration system. Conservatives have a clear proposal to end the two-tier healthcare system where failed asylum claimants get access to premium healthcare while Canadians who have paid into the system wait in overcrowded emergency rooms. There is no reasonable justification to oppose fairness for Canadian taxpayers. So why are the Liberals voting to protect a system that puts failed claimants ahead of Canadians?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it is very interesting to us. The Prime Minister outlined all of the ways in which temporary Canadians, asylum seekers, and others, those levels are going down and going down quickly. But it's very interesting to us that after a week away to lick their wounds, the Conservatives returned to Parliament and punched down at some of the most vulnerable people in this world, including, on this most solemn of anniversaries, an amputee child from Ukraine who comes seeking health care in Canada, that they would deny that person.
The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Calling anybody who questions anything about them names again. In just 10 years, the cost of health care for asylum seekers skyrocketed to $60 million to over $1 billion. That's a 1,500% increase. They can't run away from that. Legitimate refugees deserve protection. That's not the issue here. But failed asylum claimants should not receive premium coverage, while 6 million Canadians cannot find a family doctor and are waiting 12 hours in an emergency room. So I'll ask again, will they restore order and fairness into the system?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, failed asylum claimants are not granted asylum and therefore cannot stay in Canada. The Conservatives need to stop punching down at the world's most vulnerable people. There are legitimate claimants, legitimate refugees on Canadian soil, including people fleeing the war in Ukraine, the anniversary of which we are marking today, and they should be ashamed of themselves for picking on the most vulnerable people on the planet.
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, 6 million Canadians don't have a family doctor, and the average wait time to see a specialist is around 30 weeks. Yet the Liberals keep rejected asylum claimants, people their own refugee board has rejected, fully enrolled in a program with premium health benefits on the same wait list as those Canadians. Does the Health Minister believe asylum claimants that her own government rejected should be in the same lines as Canadians and genuine refugees? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Citizenship, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are focused on strengthening our immigration system and building Canada strong. If the Conservatives were really serious about health care, they would support our investments in hospitals. They would support dental care. They would support pharmacare. They would support the immigration program that I just announced and under Global Talent. And last week, the first physicians, surgeons were picked under that program to care for Canadians and everyone in Canada.
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, if the Liberals actually cared about genuine refugees, they wouldn't force them to wait in the same healthcare lines as fake asylum claimants. They wouldn't force them to wait in the same backlog as claimants who this government rejected. But they do, and they refuse to fix it. Will the Health Minister explain to those genuine refugees why rejected claimants are ahead of them on healthcare wait lists?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, thank you for that question. We have a robust immigration system. Our system works. We have an IRB board that handles claim. Those that are inadmissible and ineligible are not going to the board. They are ruled out. Those that clearly fit in the system are in there. And we will continue to honor our humanitarian, constitutional, and international obligations.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, the Interim Federal Health Program is a taxpayer-funded program that covers health care for asylum seekers and some other non-citizens at a time when 6 million Canadians do not have a family doctor. And when our system is overwhelmed, we have learned that non-citizens and non-permanent residents can receive benefits that are more generous than those offered to Canadians and Quebecers. This is a matter of fairness. Will the government support our motion to guarantee that non-residents and non-citizens do not get better health care than Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What my colleague said is not true. It is totally untrue. We are strengthening our borders, and we are making it harder for those who wish to abuse our system. We have reduced asylum claims by 30% last year. And C-12, which we have adopted, will improve our systems. We are here to work for all Canadians, all Quebecers, and people in every province, including people who really need our help. The Honourable Member. Well, indeed, the Minister mentioned Canadians. Listen, Canadians and Quebecers are the ones who should be getting health care and quality health care, and we should ensure that non-citizens are not getting better health care. We also learned that certain health care providers are offering up to 5 times the amount set by the provincial rates under the Interim Federal Health Program. And we have projections that show that the situation is going to get worse by 2030. Will the government support our motion to prioritize Canadians and Quebecers? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we will never endanger the health and security of Canadians. Our program will ensure that all Canadians are safe. We will continue to work hard, and we hope the Conservatives will support us in order to help Canadians, including Quebecers.
Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, interim federal health program costs have quadrupled in 4 years. Providers are billing up to 5 times the provincial rates for care to rejected asylum claimants. Meanwhile, folks in Oshawa are waiting for care. They can't find a doctor and access to benefits like vision care, physiotherapy, and counseling, despite paying into the system their whole lives. So, rejected claimants are receiving better health benefits than Canadians. Will the Liberals help us make this right and support our Conservative motion that preserves fairness and compassion?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker. You know what? The real question is, will the Conservatives stop voting against investments in health care? Will the Conservatives stop voting against things like a national dental care plan, Mr. Speaker, that's deeply connected to the health of Canadians? Mr. Speaker, I agree with my colleague. The Conservatives are punching down on the most vulnerable Canadians, and I will say this, we are all in this together. Canadians are united in ensuring that we have a universal health care system that is there for you regardless of your ability to pay.
The Honourable Member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Mr. Speaker, 85,000 retirees have experienced errors with their OAS checks because of the CURM software, and taxpayers are paying for $5 billion in cost overruns. But according to the Liberals, this is good news for Canada. Retirees who are struggling, again according to the Liberals, represent a success story. The Liberals are saying we should celebrate this. Are the Liberals saying that seniors who've been waiting for their pension for 9 months have nothing to complain about?
Very distant past. In fact, they prefer benefits to be administered on a 60-year-old system using paper and hand-administrated. But that's not what this government has decided to do. We're continuing on the modernization of benefits for all Canadians. This number that the Bloc Québécois continue to use is misleading to Canadians. In fact, it is a sum for the modernization of 3 major pension programs, Mr. Speaker. It is the sum that is invested in Canadians' ability to get their benefits online, in time, and in the modern world.
The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, retirees who've been waiting for their pension for 9 months would love to celebrate with the Liberals, but they can't because they have no money left. And taxpayers would love to celebrate, but when they think of everything we could have done with that $5 billion wasted on software problems, they just don't feel like celebrating. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals won't fix the current problems because in their minds, the problem doesn't even exist. Am I making it clear why we absolutely need an arm's-length inquiry? The Honourable Secretary of State, Seniors.
I want to be perfectly clear. $1.5 billion has been spent to date. This covers completion of the old age security transformation and development of initial development for employment insurance. $6.6 billion is an upper ceiling for all of the projects that this covers. This amount may never be spent. And this would have been cheaper if it had been undertaken between 2005 to 2015 when the Conservatives were in power and they knew that the tech was from 1966. My mother was only 10 years old. Let me be perfect.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, 10 years ago we had a stable immigration system that Canadians were proud of. Now the Liberals have automated approvals and abandoned security checks from certain countries. People can enter Canada, make a claim for asylum, and receive approval in the mail without even talking to a government official. It's auto approval. And the countries listed will shock you. Iran is on the list, which encourages senior members of the dreaded IRGC to seek refuge here, all with no security checks. Why did this government, including the current Minister of Justice, remove safeguards on Canada's refugee system?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, when you have a series of questions like this that have come on the floor of the House of Commons this week, you have to invite yourself into the conversations that the Conservative Party must have had as they were getting ready. You can imagine them all sitting around saying, what are we going to prioritize this week to help us raise some money? Well, could we tackle perhaps the Canada-US relationship? No, that's just going to upset our members who think Canadians are having a hissy fit. Could we tackle affordability for families? No, that goes against type. Could we do health care? Sure, health care, but let's make sure we do it in a way that helps no one. Punching down by demonizing refugees, saying you're going to cut health care is a blatant political opportunity, not something that's going to help a single person in this country.
The honourable member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, the current Justice Minister, and the member for York Southwest and Etobicoke ran the immigration file, their reckless policies broke our asylum system, overwhelming it to the point that the Immigration and Refugee Board were forced to gut critical safeguards just to keep up. Nearly 25,000 individuals were admitted to Canada without a single in-person interview. Why did the Liberals dismantle our critical safeguards for our refugee system and put Canadian lives at risk?
Absolutely.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, the translation has been difficult to hear over the anti-refugee dog whistle that's been coming through the air in this chamber all afternoon. We are talking of people who are fleeing violence, war, and persecution. Do you not remember the images of the people who died who washed up on the shore, Alan Kurdi from Syria? Have you not sat down with members of the Ukrainian community who have found safe haven in Canada? Have you not had the opportunity to speak with the Afghans?
No, again, I know the Honourable Minister knows this. It's through the chair. It's through the chair. The Honourable Member may, if the noise level drops, maybe the Honourable Member could continue.
Mr. Speaker, let me flip this around. I know that you've had the opportunity to meet with families from Syria because we've worked together during the effort. I know that you've had the opportunity to meet with Afghans who have served alongside the Canadian Armed Forces, and I know that you have supported Ukrainians finding safe haven in Canada, fleeing Putin's war of aggression.
The Honourable Member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, under this government, the asylum system has become so overwhelmed that the Immigration and Refugee Board eliminated key safeguards. Nearly 25,000 claims are approved without an in-person interview, and in some cases, decisions were issued without a direct conversation with an official, which is ridiculous. These policies were put in place when senior members of this government were responsible for the file. The Immigration Minister must explain why these safeguards were removed. Are they not concerned about the safety of Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, in my role, I have the privilege of speaking with leaders and citizens around this world, and I repeatedly hear that countries respect and want to emulate the immigration system in this country. In addition, I would ask the opposition to vote with us on Bill C-12. This is a reform to strengthen our asylum system. We've also recently announced changes to the interim health care program by introducing certain services relating to co-payment. These are responsibly, fiscally important moves.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
I want to go back to something that the government House Leader and the Justice Minister said. Since 2020, 86% of failed asylum claimants are still in Canada, and 100% of those people are receiving taxpayer-funded benefits that are better than most Canadians receive, like vision care and physiotherapy. How is it punching down to ask that we restore fairness by limiting the benefits of failed asylum claimants to emergency life-saving care?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This new government takes these issues very seriously. That is exactly why our mandate was to restore immigration, to strengthen our immigration system. And yes, I agree with the Foreign Affairs Minister. Our Our system is the envy of the world, and we are proud of the system that we have. We have curbed the asylum by 1/3. We have introduced measures to bring physicians, healthcare workers, global talent, work with us. I'll bring it out for you.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The Justice Minister just dismissed the fact that the Liberals are rubber stamping and approving asylum claims from Iran without an in-person interview. This is the type of sloppy, far-left Liberal garbage that has undermined Canada's consensus for immigration and made it harder for millions of people.
I mean, I don't know if we'll find that word on a list of I'm not sure that word falls on an official list of unparliamentary language, but anything that creates disorder is unparliamentary. So I'll ask the honourable member to continue, but please do not use incendiary language.
Mr. Speaker, the Justice Minister made light of the crisis that Canada's immigration system is facing in Canada right now. I have to ask the Immigration Minister this. How does she feel about having to clean up the mess of a man who made the mess and failed upwards in this government?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Here, here. Mr. Speaker, throughout question period and throughout the debate in the House today, we've heard immigrants and refugee and asylum claimants be linked to criminals, be told that their claims are all bogus. This is false, Mr. Speaker. When someone's case is determined to be invalid, when the process is complete, their work permit is cancelled and so is their health care, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives are just trying to divide Canadians. They're not trying to improve health care by any means. If they were, they would have voted for dental care. They would not be creating two-tier systems in in provinces across this country. They're not concerned about.
The honourable member for Etobicoke Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, today marks the 4th anniversary of Russia's barbaric and illegal invasion of Ukraine. As we sit in this House, our friends in Ukraine continue to make sacrifices as they bravely fight for their freedom. Can the Minister of Foreign Affairs share with this House how Canada is working to support Ukraine and Ukrainians in their time of need?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, on this 4th anniversary of the illegal further invasion by Russia of Ukraine, Canada continues to stand with Ukraine in the short and the long term. This morning, I announced $20 million in supports for Ukraine's energy infrastructure. In addition, this brings our total investments for Ukraine and supports to $25.5 billion. Mr. Speaker, Canada stands with Ukraine and makes sure that we are there with our allies so Ukraine can fight and win this war. Slava Ukraini.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, young people in Canada today are worse off than their parents' generation. They can't find jobs, they can't afford homes. The pain that young people face is leading to delayed family formation and to increasing hopelessness. Now, an RBC poll out today shows that 2/3 of millennials are anxious about their financial future, and more than half are concerned about current cash flow. It's not like it was 10 years ago. Will Liberals now listen to young people and reverse course on policies that have blocked opportunity for the next generation?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is there in support of all Canadians, including with a first-time homebuyers tax credit and a number of other measures to increase affordability and build homes at scale. That is just one of the many ways that we are there. We are investing in apprenticeships, in job training, in Canada Summer Jobs. There is a great deal of opportunity and investment, and it would be great to have the Conservatives cease their obstruction, in particular on the National School Food Program. work at committee, which they have continued to filibuster, and get on side. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, actually at that committee, Liberals are opposing our efforts to study food inflation, which is more than double what it is in other jurisdictions. And their budget is weakening trading by defunding career colleges. We've put constructive proposals on the table to unleash the economy, to fix immigration, to fix training, and to build homes where the jobs are. Liberals could simply take our good ideas instead of doubling down on failure, defunding students at career colleges, and continuing to block development that creates jobs and opportunity. Why are they unwilling to take the solutions we've offered? Why instead are they standing in the way of progress for young people?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, we are giving Canadians a boost across this country, up to $12 million with the grocery benefit that will reach families with up to $1,900 this year to give them a boost. I was at the Daily Bread Food Bank in Etobicoke recently, who were very happy about this increased GST rebate, as well as with the National School Food Program that we are using to fight food insecurity. We're investing in greenhouses and a national strategy on food security. Again, it would be great to have the members' collaboration to fight food insecurity together in this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, a recent poll by the Royal Bank of Canada shows 64% of millennials are worried about their future, 57% have little or no money left at the end of the month, and 4 in 10 fear that they will never pay off their debts. In Newfoundland and Labrador, the aspiration of home ownership has been the cornerstone of community stability and has long been within reach. But after 11 Liberal years of rising house costs, inflationary deficits, and higher taxes, young Canadians are being locked out of the dream of home ownership. When will this government finally lower costs and create an economy where young Canadians can afford to live?
Here, here. The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, this member likes to stand in the House and talk about what she feels her constituents need, but she actually needs to talk to them and ask if the building houses matter in her riding. Supports for rural communities in her riding matters. $10 a day child care. School food program. These things matter to the members in her riding because they talk to me.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, if Liberal programs worked, young Canadians would be getting ahead, not watching the dream of home ownership slip further away. According to CREA, the average sale price in St. John's has increased by nearly 10% from 2024 to 2025. This generation has done everything right. They should be building wealth and home ownership, but instead they're falling further behind and they're losing hope. How much worse does affordability have to get before this government lowers costs and makes it possible for young Canadians to build a future in this country?
Here, here. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to remind this member from Newfoundland and Labrador that she needs to read Budget 2025. Because in that budget, she will notice that there are strong supports for youth across this country and within our province. Opportunities for them to further their education. Programs that build houses, affordable houses in communities. Build this country through major projects that will see young people working and home ownership follows. The member needs to read the budget.
The honourable member for New-Tecumseh, Gwillimbury.
Mr. Speaker, it's unbelievable. Only 269 new homes were sold in the GTA last month. The worst ever on record for new home sales. But it's not because Canadians don't want to buy, it's because they can't afford the homes being built. The Liberals' failure to address out-of-control immigration, rising inflation, and red tape has resulted in an entire generation being priced out of the market. Why is this government making it so hard for Canadians to afford a home?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is focused on making housing more affordable across the board. That's right. Starting with our new home buyers, our first-time home buyers getting a tax break, Build Canada Homes has almost 9,000 homes now in development in cities across the country. Supportive housing was announced last week with BC, 700 homes for those who are at risk of homelessness. Mr. Speaker, we are delivering. We need support on the Build Canada Homes Act from the opposition to go farther.
Honourable member for Nunn-Tecumseh Gwillimbury.
You're not delivering. Young Canadians are flat broke.
I'm going to take that personally. Through the chair, please.
Mr. Speaker, young Canadians are flat broke and falling behind. 57 are reporting they have no money left at the end of the month. 4 in 10 fear they will never pay off their debt. Mr. Speaker, they literally have 1 foot in the grave and 1 on a banana peel. Canadians are draining their savings while their dreams of owning a home, starting a family, and building a secure life have been shattered. Instead of making things even worse, when will this Liberal government lower costs so young Canadians can afford to live?
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, well, that's what Build Canada Homes is all about. We have a plan to deliver. We are delivering, and the experts are weighing in on this. Mr. Speaker, the Canadian Housing and Renewal Association said it clearly. Build Canada Homes is, and I quote, an important step towards addressing the housing crisis, building homes at speed and scale, ensuring affordability, and listening to the community housing sector. Mr. Speaker, we have an opportunity to deliver for Canadians. This whole House should stand in unison to support the Build Canada Homes Act.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
The dream of home ownership has been shattered by a decade of Liberal policies and rhetoric. Only 269 new homes were sold in the entire Toronto area in January. Sales are down 36% from last year and 80% below the 10-year average. The last time it was this bad was the early 1990s. The Prime Minister promised build, baby, build, but the only thing this Liberal government seems able to build is more office space for more bureaucrats, for more layers of bureaucracy. So when will this Liberal government stop obstructing builders, stop doubling down on failed policies, and finally scrap the GST on all new homes?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, this morning we announced a Phase 2 addition of 7,500 new residential units in 25 locations across the country. Already more than 800 new residential housing units are underway. The shovels are in the ground. Valcartier, Petawawa, and Edmonton, 1,000 new units. Kingston, 900 new units. Gagetown, 500 new units. Mr. Speaker, we are delivering for the Canadian Armed Forces, and we're delivering for our economy.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Arthabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Curam Software. Original budget, $1.6 billion. Actual cost, $6.6 billion. Cost overrun, $5 billion. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Liberals told us that this is a success story. That's what they said. Who in the Liberal cabinet will step up to take leadership in this fiasco, in this financial fiasco? That's the question. Who will take care of the 85,000 seniors who are waiting for their money? Who? Anyone? That's Liberal leadership for you, Mr. Speaker. No one is dealing with this. The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, my colleague is in the House of Commons because he tried to be an actor, but he failed at that, at drama school. But as we've said, as the other ministers have said, as all those responsible for this have said, we are replacing outdated technological systems. This system is within budget, and any glitches will be fixed, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues are welcome to send me any issues they know of. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent, Akia-Wenrac. Mr. Speaker, 85,000 Canadian seniors are experiencing problems, and for some of them, this is their only source of revenue. This is the problem, Mr. Speaker. There are 85,000 seniors affected, and yesterday the Minister of Transportation said that there were just a few cases. 85,000. A success story, they said. 85,000. This is Liberal arrogance in full display. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is an honorable, very honorable man. So can he rise and admit that they've made a mistake? The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
That the Prime Minister is an honourable man, and that's why I'm so confident to serve under his leadership. And on the issue of Curem, Mr. Speaker, it would be great if we had some honourable conversations about the real facts of this case. In fact, Mr. Speaker, 7.7 million seniors have been transferred to the new system without any delay. And in fact, the number that the opposition keeps repeating are new applicants, Mr. Speaker. We have a process as well for urgent cases. I've asked the member opposite to come to me with those urgent cases, and we can get people their benefits started within 24 to 48 hours. Mr. Speaker, there is
the honourable member for Halifax.
Monsieur le Président, on est tout.
Mr. Speaker, all of us in this place agree that tuberculosis rates in Inuit Nunangat and in many First Nations communities are still too high. These rates of tuberculosis reflect historical discrimination and the lasting effects of colonization. Can the Minister of Indigenous Services tell the House what our new government is doing to eliminate tuberculosis by 2030? Thank you.
L'honorable ministre.
The Honourable Minister of Indigenous Services. Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for this very important question. In order to eliminate tuberculosis, we are investing in innovative approaches led by Inuit. We are working to improve people's health in the most at-risk communities, and in order to do so, we have just announced additional investment, significant investment, to find solutions to tuberculosis rates in Inuit Nunangat.
With ITK and Inuit treaty organizations to better support prevention, screening, and diagnosis.
The honourable member for Brantford Branch South, Six Nations.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Liberal revolving door policies strike again. Today in Toronto, a criminal while on bail was convicted of stabbing a male 7 times on the subway, causing life-altering injuries and permanent trauma, is now walking free. The judge called him a high risk to reoffend, and now his victim fears for his life. How many more innocent Canadians have to be stabbed, shot, or terrorized before this government stops propping up a broken system and actually starts protecting victims?
The Honourable Secretary of State for combating crime.
Mr. Speaker, cases like this are exactly why we brought in C-14.
That's right.
I'm glad to report that C-14 has passed on to the Senate. The Senate is doing its work. There will be bail reform in that bill. There are harsher sentences for those that commit crimes. And I'm glad that, that we'll be able to tackle this issue. Mr. Speaker, my role has been put in place because we are a tough on crime government, and we'll do everything that it takes to make sure we don't have incidents like this.
Honourable member for Brantford Branch South, Six Nations.
The tragic case, Mr. Speaker, is a direct result of Bill C-5 and 75 laws that weaken bail, water down consequences, and fueled a revolving door for violent crime. Conservatives have repeatedly fought to strengthen bail and early release and keep violent offenders behind bars. We have offered to work with this government, yet these Liberals vote down tougher laws Conservatives propose, choosing ideology over public safety. How many more Canadians have to be violently attacked before this government admits its laws are failing? Hear, hear.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, 1/3 of all legislation that we've brought forward has been tough on crime legislation, Mr. Speaker. Justice reform, public safety bills, and many of these measures have moved forward and progressed, but there's some measures that have not moved forward at all because the Conservatives have been obstructing those measures, Mr. Speaker. We need to be able to provide law enforcement with the tools that they need, the advancement that is needed, and lawful access measures are a part of that regime. I would like the Conservatives to work with us, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Kamloops, Thompson Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, a man was recently sentenced to 2 years less a day for possessing over 2,600 images of child sexual abuse and exploitation material. Let's remember that it is Parliament's jurisdiction to set sentencing ranges, and that is why I put forward a bill last Parliament to raise sentences for those who commit sexual offences against kids. Make no mistake, I believe everybody in this chamber wants to protect children. But if that's the case, will the Liberals commit today as to when they will introduce legislation that will strengthen our sentencing for those who possess these criminal and awful materials?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to answer the honourable member's question directly. It was during the fall sitting last year. We put forward legislation that is going to increase sentences for a range of sexual crimes. And, Mr. Speaker, we are also going to be restoring mandatory minimum penalties, including for child pornography charges following the Senate bill decision of the Supreme Court. But on this side of the House, we know that it is not enough to punish bad actors after a crime has taken place. That's why I would urge all members of this House to get behind the government's efforts to pass Bill C-2 so we can actually adopt a lawful access regime, give cops the tools they need to put criminals behind bars and keep our kids safe.
The Honourable Member for Labrador.
Mr. Speaker, we know how important it is that Inuit children have timely and equitable access to the health, social and educational supports they deserve. The Inuit Child First Initiative has been instrumental in helping to close long-standing gaps, ensuring that Inuit children are not left behind. Could the Minister of Indigenous Services please update this House on her recent announcement and explain how it will further strengthen supports for Inuit children and families, including those in my own riding of Labrador? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Indigenous Services.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for his question, and I'm really pleased to be able to respond to him in affirming the announcement of $115 million towards renewed funding for the Inuit Child First Initiative that will reach those children and families in his riding and like mine. I want to thank my constituents who expressed their support for this progress. I'm looking forward to continuing to deliver in this space. Of course, we are going to be doing long-term work in partnership with our colleagues to ensure that we are able to determine the future next steps of this process. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, Liberals have shut down the experimental farm in Saint-Augustin-des-Maures and the research centre at Laval University in the riding represented by the Minister of Public Services and Procurement. It is unanimous that this decision will have long-term consequences for our food sovereignty and Canadian expertise. Mr. Speaker, agricultural research funding is already the poor cousin under these Liberals. The Prime Minister has stated that a country that cannot feed itself has limited options. Why is the government not walking the talk?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now more than ever, it's vital we find ways to streamline our services and focus our efforts in the right place, Mr. Speaker. I've had the opportunity to sit down with Laval University and talk about AAFC and the partnerships that we have. Streamlining research and collaboration with academia and the private sector will prioritize our high-impact areas and duplication and align ourselves for the future. We are going to continue to be the biggest science entity in the country, Mr. Speaker, and we will use that to our advantage in our trade negotiations.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, the Canada Health Act guarantees Canadians universal access to public health care. But Danielle Smith is creating a private system that will hollow out health care in Alberta and spread to other provinces, making the crisis across the country even worse. At the same time, Canadians in 9 provinces and territories still have no access to national pharmacare, and the health minister won't even meet with the Canadian Health Coalition to talk about it. Is the Prime Minister deliberately letting Canadian health care erode, or does he simply not care enough to protect it?
Hear, hear. Excellent.
L'Honorable Ministre.
The Honourable Minister for Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As my colleague knows, I will always stand up for, and my government will always stand up for, the Canada Health Act. We're working closely with our partners, provinces and territories, as I often say, and we work together to ensure the best possible healthcare services for Canadians.
Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, our healthcare system is already stretched, yet this Liberal government piles on needless paperwork. The College of Family Physicians warns that the disability tax credit form is worsening the strain on family doctors and limiting limiting access to the Canada Disability Benefit. Instead of fixing the problem, Budget 2025 sets aside $10 million to help people navigate a broken system. Provinces already determine disability eligibility. Why won't the minister just accept provincial approvals for the disability tax credit and cut red tape so family doctors can focus on patient care and so people with disabilities can actually access their benefits?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Speaker, I am so proud to be part of a country that believes that people with disabilities deserve to live in dignity, and that's why we have a disability tax credit. As the member knows, this is important work for the full inclusion of people with disabilities in Canadian society, and we'll continue to advocate to ensure that everyone reaches their full potential here in this country.
L'honorable député de Montcalm.
The honourable member for Montcalm. On a point of order. Yes, Mr. Speaker. You are the guardian of my parliamentary privilege, and one of these privileges is to ensure that when I attend question period, I may hear both the question and the answer, regardless of what I may think of that question or answer. However, over the last several question periods, unfortunately, the people to your right have a difficult time containing their enthusiasm, so they rise to applaud before the answers have been fully given, which means that interpreters cannot do their work. It has happened on several occasions, and they're unable to do their work. And when they are able to, we actually can't appreciate it because we can't even hear the rest of the answer. Mr. Speaker, if you could make it clear to the people across the way. Thank you.
Je vais prendre ça en note.
I will take it under advisement and look into the matter. But I think it's coming from both sides, I must admit. There are loud voices on both sides. I know them, yes, I know. I know who they are.
Merci quand même pour,
That said, thank you for your comment.
To order made on Monday, February 23rd, 2026. I now invite the House to rise and observe a moment of silence for Ukraine and the victims of Russian aggression.